Welcome to the Cryptonomatron, and today I'm doing a review on Morpheus Network. Morpheus Network is a global supply chain blockchain with a payment service that is integrating with Swift to make global payments easier and save companies money. And ultimately, it's probably going to be the most important use of blockchain in the early days of the technology. Certainly solving many problems logistically and saving companies a lot of money. So let's take a look at the project and what it's all about, starting off with the competition. So blockchain and supply chain are a marriage made in heaven, so they say. Blockchain really complements the supply chain management. And that's why all these big companies are trying to get in on the act and implement it. Now, Morpheus Network have a payment integration as well as the supply chain management side of things. So they are a little bit more extensive than some of these older companies, larger companies are trying to implement for their logistics and supply chain management. So let's have a look anyway at 5 big companies that are trying to implement blockchain into their technology, into their supply chain management. Walmart being the first one for tracking products, exactly where it comes from. Maersk have partnered with IBM. They are focusing on a logistics blockchain primarily for Maersk Line shipping. British Airways have been testing one for their flights between London, Geneva and Miami last year. It will probably expand globally this year. UPS have joined the Blockchain and Trucking Alliance last year and hoping for more transparency among all groups involved in the supply chain. And again, they're working to develop blockchain standards for the freight industry. FedEx, who are mentioned on the Morpheus Network website, they have also joined the BITA, or the Blockchain and Trucking Alliance, and they've launched a blockchain-powered pilot program to solve customer disputes. Now, those are the 5 biggest companies that you will probably hear mentioned as far as supply chain management and blockchain are concerned, or logistics and blockchain, but there are many other startups that have launched ICOs or airdrops that have their core supply chain management functions on the blockchain. Just off the top of my head, I can name ShipChain is one of them, Block Array, another one, CargoX, and there are other ones coming. I think Block Freight as well is going to ICO sometime this year, and so on and so forth. So there are a lot of supply chain management companies. There are a few others like VeChain and and others like that, and Fusion, that will be focusing on supply chain management, but also Morpheus Network has the payment service as well, which is integrated with Swift. So this could be quite an important competitive advantage for them. So more competition, because obviously the payment service on a blockchain is already something that is available from a couple of companies, Monetha and Utrust, I think, as well. So here they've got a nice table in their white paper that outlines basically their platform and how it differs from both the centralized and decentralized systems. And you can see there UPS, FedEx are included. Obviously, they will not be decentralized as their systems, like PayPal, like Alipay, like Visa and MasterCard, will have to be a centralized system, which is obviously not conducive to security nor privacy, which is one of the big advantages of having a decentralized distributed computing system. However, Monetha are mentioned here in the list, so we can compare, looking down, that Morpheus Network have several advantages over Monetha, including permission transparency, escrow services, which Monetha do not implement, digitization of documents, layering of other blockchain technologies within the Morpheus system, and direct Swift deposits, as obviously Morpheus Network will be integrating Swift into their system. And I think that alone is one of the biggest competitive advantages they've got. over all their competitors, whether centralized or decentralized. So the problem they want to solve, simply and in a nutshell, is inefficiencies in the supply chain, global supply chain. And when we say inefficiencies, we're not just talking about global payment inefficiencies. There are high costs of doing business, as you can see here from the homepage. This little excerpt here, it says $2 trillion was lost in the past year to bank fees, conversion rates, and delays in global trading. And that is financially, that's one of the problems, but there are others. Logistics are a problem, tracking of shipments, theft from shipments, fees, for lost shipments, that type of thing. So there are a lot of issues and areas where the blockchain can be effective in supply chain management. The main one, however, is obviously the payment service, and there isn't a global payment service currently on the blockchain that would benefit global trade. And if there was, they say that they could increase worldwide gross domestic product by almost 5% and global trade volume by 15%, and that equates to an increase of over $2 trillion. So it's not insignificant at all. Currently, as we mentioned in the competition section, there are other companies that are trying to implement the blockchain, and the reason why is because they know they can make a lot more money if they do. And quite simply, as it's stated on the website here, this inefficiency in global trading is the _1 world problem to solve utilizing the blockchain at the moment. And that's why all these big players like IBM, Maersk, DHL, DNV, they're all jumping on board to try and utilize the blockchain to increase profits, ultimately their bottom line. They've got shareholders to satisfy, and using the blockchain makes them more money or saves them money. So that's why everybody wants to do it. Morpheus Network is ideally positioned with their ideas and their project and what they intend to do. So let's take a look at that now. So the Morpheus Network is a supply chain platform, and it has an integrated cryptocurrency payment system using the blockchain technology. Now, they have been consulting with some of the world's largest shipping, customs, and banking firms. So it's full service, global, automated, and utilizes blockchain smart contracts. So it's going to be efficient. They're going to integrate with FedEx, I believe, Ripple as well, it was mentioned, and also Swift. And the reason Swift is so important is because most global payments now, bank-to-bank payments, bank-to-bank transfers, are done through the Swift system. But as we know, it's expensive and inefficient. So this could really be a game changer and solve a really big problem in the global supply chain if they can actually implement. So the white paper here, and it's even animated because it's on their website, which is nice. It breaks it down into issues of the logistics, and as we can see here, slow transmission of wire transfer payments to suppliers has always been an issue and continues to be so. Slow transfer of original shipping documentation that causes shipping delays. Improper documentation filing. High banking fees to process bank transfers and increasing costs resulting of that. Terrible conversion rates, increasing costs with global money transfer, and no current rating system in place, so that results in payment delays from distributors and suppliers alike. And basically they've got a little example here of the supply chain structure, which I'll just briefly bring to your attention. T-shirts shipping from Taiwan, for example, to Moscow in Russia. The graphics are custom, printed in Moscow, sold by distributors around the world. The completed graphic t-shirts are shipped from Moscow, Russia to Argentina, Spain, USA. And the payments involved in this structure are, first of all, to the Taiwanese supplier. So that'll be the ruble to Taiwanese dollar, I think it is it? From the Argentinian distributor, so from Argentina, to the ruble. I'm not sure what currency they use in Argentina. From Spanish distributor, so euro to ruble, and from the US distributor, from the US dollar to ruble as well. And this is what the Morpheus Network essentially is going to do. This will automate the entire supply chain structure. because it will be on the blockchain utilizing smart contracts. So generating new contracts for the Taiwanese supplier when the inventory is running low. They will automate payments to the Taiwanese supplier directly to their bank account in Taiwanese dollars, and they will create, digitize and share all the original shipping documents to be seamlessly handled by customs brokers and freight forwarders with the permissible access. So you can see how it can benefit anybody in the supply chain. Now, what about the market? Well, as you can imagine, it's multi-billion dollar, multi-trillion dollar. So worldwide, global supply chain is worth trillions, and SWIFT have a monopoly on the payment service at the moment, and that's a problem. As we can see here, their profits slumped last year due to cyber attacks on banks. The current centralized systems are not secure, they're not adequate, and they are not going to be able to be utilized in the future. They're obsolete. So a decentralized or distributed system is required now to ensure both privacy and better security of the system. So we can see SWIFT itself had a 31% decrease in profits to $47 million last year. There was an $81 million theft from a Bangladeshi bank in February 2016. No surprise there. Security not up to scratch, obviously, but you know, there's always going to be inherent risks in using a centralized server system, which again is one of the benefits of utilizing the blockchain. So if we can just pull some other statistics from here, there were basically an investigation went into the SWIFT system last year because there was a wave of attacks on the banking system. So obviously I think SWIFT will be looking at utilizing a better system that doesn't expose them to attacks as much. I found this interesting little article too about the supply chain management software and the market revenue from that little segment. And of course, blockchain integrated into a system will require a interface, user interface for people or companies to use. And the market for this alone is phenomenal at the moment. Again, going from about 11.2 billion US dollars worldwide to an estimated $13 billion last year for software as a service, responsible for producing new growth opportunities in the industry, and it's set to exponentially grow, as you can see, up to 2021. So they are looking for maybe a $19 billion revenue in 2021, so it'll increase year on year quite exponentially, and I can see blockchain being a big part of that growth as well. So to simplify the blockchain usage, they are using a hybrid version of the Ethereum blockchain. They are going to have a permission blockchain, that means, and obviously public blockchains can be accessed by everybody, and that can't happen in a logistics system because you only want certain parties to have access to certain data. So it has to be a mix between a private blockchain and a public blockchain, and the only way to do this is through the hybrid system of both a public and a private system. So they're using the Ethereum blockchain. They're also going to store data or documents in an off-chain container. They don't elaborate much on that at the moment. So it will be interesting to see what technology they're going to implement. I know that some companies are using Hyperledger for their permissions and the Ethereum for the smart contracts, such as the ICO I'm advising. I'm not trying to plug it, just mentioning that. But there are other companies out there that are using this type of system, but there isn't much information yet in the white paper, so it'll be interesting to see going forward what they're going to do. So the tech here, there will be a dashboard obviously where you can interact with the network, revise your objectives, update your objectives, etc. And there will be obviously permissions, so you won't be able to view things that you're not allowed access to. That is an example of how the dashboard is going to look. This is from the white paper, and then we can see there you can add or edit your smart contracts depending on what you're intending to do and what your objectives are. So it looks quite interesting. There's a nice infographic here. Single smart contract for the supply chain. If we go through the list here, there will be an ERP system updated with low stock level from a distributor in Sao Paulo, for example. That will then automate a contract generation through the Morpheus Network from the Canadian head office where Morpheus are based. Then automated storage and shared retrieval of the documentation with a layered blockchain technology. After that, automated payment through the Morpheus Network from the Canadian head office to the overseas manufacturer and supplier. Then shipping of the purchased goods will happen, signaled by a barcode scan from the supplier with layered blockchain technology. Then an automated payment through the Morpheus Network from the distributor to the Canadian head office. After that, automated shipping documentation generation through the Morpheus Network. And then finally, or penultimately even, automated storage and shared retrieval of the documentation with layered blockchain technology happens. And finally, ERP system will be updated with the newly arrived inventory, reinitiating the smart contract. So you can see how the system works. Essentially, the stock goes low, it initiates an order, the order gets fulfilled, the payments are done automatically, and voila, your stock arrives and your data is updated. So essentially, really streamlining the global supply chain system. So the token is a value-based utility token. It is the fuel that powers the ecosystem. And the network's Microsoft Dynamics 365 ERP system is integrated with SWIFT for direct international payments. And that's going to be essential to them getting the business to being able to be used throughout the world on the global supply chain. Now, the token will be required to get access to the Morpheus Network platform, and it will also be based on the real-time financial derivatives of whatever currency is needed to complete a payment. So it will act as the fuel in the ecosystem, but it will also be the value of it will be determined by the payments going through the network. So if the depending on its exchange rate, for example, if you're paying in US dollars and receiving in rubles, then the value of the network token at that particular time will be based on the exchange rate. The integration with SWIFT will allow them to send the payments directly to the bank accounts of many different banks globally in the currency that's required, and that will all be done by the smart contract using the MORPH token. I should also say it will be on the main exchanges after the ICO. Which ones I don't know, and when it's going to appear on the exchanges I don't know, guys. Yeah, that'll be up to Morpheus Network and whichever exchanges decide to list it once the information is provided. So the token sale will start on February the 23rd at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the US. The pre-sale will be 10 days long. I doubt it will make it that far, to be honest with you, but you never know. There are 100 million MORPH tokens total, so a very low total supply. Only 52 million will be allocated to the token sale, and that's pretty good because that means that there will be some demand for this project. There are 3.35 million tokens reserved for strategic partners. 9 million will be reserved as bonuses for the token sale. 650,000 reserved for the bounty program, which I may submit this video to. Again, full disclosure. 12 million tokens will be reserved for the founding team. 3 million tokens reserved for the advisory board, and 20 million tokens for token pre-sale. So 72 million tokens for the public altogether. So as I said, pre-sale will begin on February the 23rd and end on March the 4th. The pre-sale token price will be 50 cents, equaling 1.12 MORPH, with a 12% bonus for pre-sale participants. The minimum pre-sale contribution is a very fair $10 US. The soft cap is 21.95 million MORPH tokens, which is equivalent of 1.8 million US. And the hard cap throughout the sale for both pre-sale and ICO main sale will be $36 million. The main sale duration will be 30 days, and the main sale date will be announced announced, I have a very sneaking suspicion that it will sell out at pre-sale. So I don't think we'll make it as far as main sale. So if you're gonna get involved, if you want to get invested in this ICO, then I suggest you go to the whitelist, you sign up now before it closes, and you go in at the pre-sale. You don't wait till the main sale. You will also get an additional bonus of 2% in the first 6 hours of the pre-sale. So again, please sign up immediately if you are interested, as you know, these ICO projects now, once they get a little bit of hype behind them, they either close the whitelist or they sell out at pre-sale and they don't have a main sale. So it's advisable, if you're interested in any project, not just Morpheus Network, to get in as early as you can and do your business, because it's becoming a real bun fight. So just to highlight, they will be accepting different payments through Shapeshift for the ICO. They recommend contributions in Ethereum, however, but they will be accepting Neo, Bitcoin, Litecoin, Dash, EOS and Ripple, and some other ones as well. You will need an ERC20 Ethereum compatible wallet like MyEther wallet or MetaMask to receive the initial tokens, and they will be distributed quite soon after the ICO. So Morpheus Network does have a bounty campaign running. 1% of all tokens sold during the ICO will be dedicated to the campaign, and it could be worth $325,000 to participants, which is quite a lot of money. The bounty allocation is as follows: 50% will be signature and avatar campaign, 10% for translation, and 40% split between the rest of the social media, which includes Twitter, Facebook, Medium, Reddit, Telegram, and YouTube. And there are rules. They're also capping the signature bounty at 150 participants. So I'll leave the link below as usual. If you want to join the bounty campaign, then better now than never. Back in 2016, Dan and Noam, the co-founders, had this idea to lay the groundwork for a full-service global automated supply chain platform powered by the blockchain. They then founded the Morpheus Network in June 2016. August 2016, they established connections to international industrial manufacturers. December 2016, the Morpheus Network and Donna Stoppard from TD Canada Trust began discussions regarding platform implementation. March 2017, the Morpheus Network and Brian Taylor from Deloitte LLP began negotiations for fund distribution and tax implications too. May 2017, Wilson International became the lead advisor for the global shipping and customs regulations. September 2017, they formed a strategic partnership with Winjet Technologies Incorporated, and in October 2017, last year, they initiated connection of the Morpheus Network and the Swift Hub. William Louis from Swift, he's the regional manager, he became an advisor of the Morpheus project. Then January 2018, last month, the multi-sig wallet agreement was completed as well, and they also joined the Blockchain in Transport Alliance last month as well, along with FedEx, UPS, and very many more. And in February, this month indeed, they will initiate the availability of the MORPH token, i.e. they will have the ICO or the pre-sale, and then after they will then distribute and hopefully get listed on some exchanges. So they're not very detailed in the roadmap and how they're going to go about it. They don't really have a step-by-step plan. It seems to be just quite vague, this roadmap, looking down through it. So they look to have the testnet available in the latter part of this year, in September 2018, and then a limited platform release to early adopters in 2018 December, and then first quarter 2019 they will launch globally. So you've got about, I would say probably about 18 months before they actually launch the product worldwide. So let's look at the team quickly now. They have professional experience with all these companies here. These are not partnerships. These are companies that the team have previously been involved with. One of the biggest ones we have to look at is this Winjet Now, Winjet are an Indian software IT company, and a lot of these team members are actually working for Winjet. They don't work specifically for Morpheus. So be aware that Dan and Noam are the co-founders, but the programmers and the tech solutions are all going to be provided by Winjet. They've got a partnership with Winjet at the moment. So all these people, Nikhil, Priyank, they're all based in India, in Mumbai, I think, and they are all the developers of the software, and they all work for Winjet. Now, some of them have Morpheus Network on their LinkedIn pages, but essentially they all work for Winjet. So going down, there are a couple of advisors that are worth pointing out. Roger Crook is the former CEO of DHL. Obviously, he's going to be very, very important for the logistics side of things. And another guy that I want to point out, I've spoken about very briefly before, is William Lee, and he is the regional manager at Swift, and he's on board as an advisor, and he'll be important as how they integrate with the Swift system as well. So that's not to lessen the significance of all the other team members and advisors. I just thought I'd point those two people out. But yeah, you have to be aware that although the company is Canada based, they will be sourcing all their IT technology from Winjet in India. So it's important to note, although they do mention Swift and FedEx on their website, they're going to integrate with. It's not clear whether they have a partnership with them. The only partnership that has been announced so far is Winjet. Winjet is an IoT lab or a IT lab in India, and they deal with different areas of technology like Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, machine learning, product engineering, and blockchain and fintech. And as I mentioned in the last chapter, most of the developers on the team of Morpheus Network do actually work for Winjet. So community support for this project. They're on social media, Telegram, Facebook, Reddit, Medium, Twitter, and they have Bitcoin Talk as well, obviously. Let's have a quick look at the Medium. 75 followers only on Medium on their blog. They've posted a couple of articles, not really that extensive, nothing since before January, so fairly recent additions there. They have 3,689 members on their Telegram group. And on Twitter, they have 3,396 followers, of which more than half are actually fake after doing a Twitter audit on them. So they've realistically just got a little over 1,000. So community support could be better for this project. They are, however, active on social media. As you can see, they do post every day, and there are people obviously tweeting about them and stuff. So it could be better. Community support for this project could be better. Hype could be a bit bigger with this project. It doesn't seem to have got any attention. So let's see whether they can, in the next couple of weeks, the build up to their pre-sale, and during the pre-sale, whether they can build the momentum to successfully complete the ICO. So now to the verdict, and first of all, as usual, the positives. Now, number one is the low total supply. 100 million MORPH tokens is fairly low these days, and that should encourage the value of the token to rise as well, especially if it's being used on the ecosystem. Number two, key advisors here will drive the project to success. The former CEO of DHL and also the regional manager of Swift. Those two advisors in particular, as well as the others, will be key to the success of this project. Number three, this is a multi-trillion-dollar market they're operating in. You know, the revenue from this particular marketplace is very, very large if they can implement, and if they can get a piece of it, then there's certainly a lot of money to be made. Number four, they're integrating with Swift. So if they manage to integrate with Swift and they can implement this, then that could be a real driver for the success in the future. Number five, integration with FedEx as well. if they integrate the FedEx system, first of all, it will allow this to grow rapidly within the global supply chain community, and again, another step forward in the potential success of this project. Number 6, it solves a real-world problem. As we mentioned earlier in the problem section, there is simply an inefficiency within the global supply chain mechanism, and blockchain will go some way in eradicating that. So this solves the real problems of the inefficiencies, and mainly the payment services, which can cost the industry upwards of $2 trillion a year. There are negatives, however, and as usual, number 1, they don't have any key partnerships. They have one partnership with Winjet, who are going to do the technological aspects of this project for them. But there's no key partnerships. There isn't with any of the main companies. They're not partnered with Swift. They're not partnered with FedEx. They are integrating those systems into their blockchain platform, but they don't actually have any official partnerships announced yet. So it might be that in the future, if they do have these key partnerships, that could be a driving driving force behind their success. But at the moment, there are no key partnerships, and that could be a concern for any potential investor, as other competition in this sector does have partnerships. There's no smart contract on GitHub. I couldn't find any technical details about it. Really, when you're investing in an ICO, you want to see a smart contract there so that you know that that's going to be implemented, especially during the crowd sale. Number 3, there's fairly low hype about this and low community support. There isn't enough people behind this project to drive it to success when it goes on exchanges and gains traction. And hopefully, this can be built towards the main sale itself. Number 4, a concern of mine is that they're outsourcing the technology development to Winjet, and that could affect the implementation. You've now got several offices around the world that have to liaise. You have the Canada office, you then have the office in India who are doing all the development of the blockchain technology and everything else, the software, and that could limit and affect implementation, I believe. And number 5, competition is very robust and more established in this sector. As I mentioned earlier in the competition section, you have Maersk, IBM have teamed up, VeChain have got partnerships with DHL and some other, DNV and some other impressive companies there. And the competition in the global supply chain sector, blockchain, is very, very strong indeed. So this is going to be very difficult for any company to succeed in this sector. And number 6, it's a fairly high token price, higher than I would have liked. 50 cents for 1.12 MORPH tokens is quite high in my opinion. They would have got my interest a lot more if the token price was about half of where it is, maybe even lower. But again, the hard cap isn't low enough for my liking, but it isn't too high either. $36 million is, it's not too high. It's still fairly acceptable, but the token price for me is a little too high. And number 7, the final negative is it's an ambitious project. They're going to have to really do very well to succeed here. I think the project is very ambitious. With the competition, with the outsourcing of the technology development and everything else, I think this is ambitious. Is it over ambitious? Time will tell. And as such, the verdict is the red pill or the blue pill. Which one do you take in this case? And to be honest with you, I'm a bit on the fence with this project. I'm giving this 3 out of 5 stars. The reason it loses stars is, again, no smart contract. Also the outsourcing of the technology to Winjet, and the other thing is it doesn't have a minimal viable product at the moment. We don't have any technology, so that's another negative that counts against it. So I can really only give this project 3 out of 5 stars at the moment. On the other hand, the positives behind the project: it does solve real world problems. It really does have a global use case. And it could potentially be very, very successful. I like the low supply. I think the team is able to implement as well. The advisory body's quite strong. But again, it has fundamental negatives that affect it. Low hype in the community, so you know it's really one that you're going to have to take a risk on. I think in terms of implementation here, can they implement? That is the question you have to ask yourself here, and will it get adopted? Now, as I said, I'm on the fence here. Will I invest? I'm leaning towards putting some money into this. Because of the low supply and the potential for it as well may twist my arm to put up with the risk in this case. But as ever, you know, I'm not a financial advisor. These reviews are just for entertainment purposes only. Please do your own research if you're going to invest in any ICO, and bear in mind that ICOs do have inherent risk in them. Yeah, do your own due diligence, do your own research before investing in anything, and always invest with caution and invest wisely as well, and don't invest more money than you can afford to lose. Yep, that's it. That's my review for Morpheus Network. As you probably can tell by my voice, I'm not feeling too great. The last few days I've been nursing a head cold, which has debilitated me, along with my drinking habits as well. So I hopefully I'll be feeling a bit better tomorrow. I'll have another review for you tomorrow. And if you like this video, please subscribe, and let me know what you want me to review next. I'll try and get it done. Thanks for watching as ever, and see you tomorrow.